Here we are today at NY+20 on the 27th of April at the Ford Foundation, and we are interviewing Mr. Kimo Goree, the Director of the International Institute for Sustainable Development.
Yep.
Mr. Kimo Goree, or Kimo Goree as you...
Kimo.
Kimo?
Yeah.
Kimo as you prefer. We'd like to thank you for being here today. Your support means volumes to us. You were here since the beginning of the foundation of building the NY+20 movement, and we appreciate all of your support. Why do you believe in this My City NY+20 movement?
Well, I have to admit that I'm a reformed ageist. There was a time when I believed that those people who were born before me didn't get it, and those people who were born after me didn't have a clue. It's not really true. You cannot judge people by the time that they arrived on the planet. Sustainable development is an intergenerational activity, and we all need to accept responsibility for implementing sustainable development. We need to reach across the generations. So I'm pleased to support the NY+20, all the young people who are here. I think it's a responsibility of intergenerational equity to do so. It's the responsibility of our generation to prepare the next generation to take on the mantle of sustainable development as we did 20 years ago. Those of us took on the post-Rio 92 mantle of sustainable development from people like Morris Strong, Jim McNeil, Bella Abzug, Gro Harlan Brundtland. We will be passing on our responsibilities for maintaining and advocating for sustainable development to some of the people who are in the room right here. So that's why I'm involved.
When we talk about Rio+20, what do you think are the biggest challenges in the outcome document in the next few months?
Of course, right now, across the street here from the Ford Foundation, governments at the United Nations are negotiating the outcome document for Rio+20, the United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development. The document, which started out as an 18-page compilation of inputs from governments, has grown to over 280 pages. It's a formidable task for governments to whittle this down so that there's some meaningful outcome for Rio+20. The two big agenda items, of course, are green economy and the international framework on sustainable development. People are also talking about the concept of sustainable development goals. The challenge will be for governments, I think, to put aside their national self-interests in the interests of consensus and in the interests of the planet. Unfortunately, it's only humans who are working across the street and doing the negotiating. We don't let animals, we don't let plants. However, we as humans have to represent the interests of animals, plants, and the natural environment. That's what sustainable development is all about. So that'll be the biggest challenge, I think, is for governments to set aside their self-interestedness in the interest of reaching consensus and rediscovering what we had in 1992, which was the spirit of Rio.
As director of the IISSD, you have a network of 70,000 readers daily of the news that you give out on sustainable development. This network that you have built, what do you hope to achieve with regards to the ongoing UN Conference on Sustainable Development and the news that IISD is portraying?
Well, IISD is committed to providing good information to policymakers. My division of IISD, which is called IISD Reporting Services, will continue to provide knowledge tools and good information so that policymakers will make better decisions. I believe in a thing which I call flutes, funnels, nozzles, baffles, and chutes. Flutes, funnels, nozzles, baffles, and chutes. These are all hydrological terms. Flutes that move liquid, funnels that move liquid, nozzles that spray liquid. So how do you get these flows of liquid around? Well, at the international level, there's a lot of flow. It's not flow of liquid, it's flow of funds and resources. These things that adjust the direction of flows, flutes, funnels, nozzles, baffles, and chutes, are all affected by policy. Ah, yes, we've read that this new policy is coming on board, and so someone sitting in Copenhagen, someone sitting in Oslo, someone sitting in Paris or in Washington will redirect flows based upon the information that they receive in the terms of policy. We're in the business of communicating the outcomes of international meetings to those people who are redirecting flows. Communicating policy. It's an essential part of the policy formulation process, is communicating the outcomes. And that's what our job is. That's how we see our job at IISD.
As someone who has followed the process for many years now, probably since its birth, what do you hope for the outcome at Rio+20 to become?
Well, no matter what the outcome of Rio+20, whether it is a success, a weakened success, a watered down success, or as we found in Copenhagen, even a successful failure, people should come away from Rio recognizing that sustainable development as a concept did not fail. The intergovernmental process may have failed to provide or produce a good outcome. But sustainable development is not about what governments do. It's about what we as individuals in our communities, in our cities, in our states, and in our regions do. That's where sustainable development will actually happen. So we shouldn't be discouraged by any of the outcomes of Rio de Janeiro. The Rio conference at this point has turned into a negotiation. Sustainable development cannot be negotiated. Sustainable development needs to be implemented, and we're the ones who need to implement it.
And the last question would be, as this is an interview and an event that's focused on youth and sustainable development, what do you hope, as a message to young people all over the world, would they do as part of their sustainable development?
Well, don't be an ageist and look at sustainable development as something that your parents or grandparents came up with and now is passé. Sustainable development was ahead of its time. It's now more relevant than ever. I would hope that young people would look at sustainable development with fresh eyes and see it as the hope for our way out of the mess that we found ourselves in.
Well, thank you so much, Mr.
Great.
Goree. If you have any last messages, whether it be your commitment to sustainable development.
No, I only have one commercial message, and that is go to www.iisd.ca, where you'll find the link to our coverage of Rio+20. And on your mobile device, you can load up our mobile app at enb.iisd.mobi. Thanks.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you for your support. It means a lot to us.
Thanks, Esperanza.